Our workshop was one of the most well-known blacksmith shops in the city. People came to us every day, ordering everything from small household repairs to large-scale projects. My partner and I had built it from scratch, working day and night for years to reach this point. It was a place shaped by the sound of hammers, the smell of metal, and the heat of fire. People trusted us because we could handle anything. The workshop was quite spacious, with high ceilings and massive furnaces that made it suitable for different kinds of work. In every corner there were piles of iron, half-finished pieces, molds, and tools. Over time, business had grown so much that we occasionally had to hire extra workers, but most of the time, it was just my partner and me running things. Our partnership had become more than a business. It was a friendship. We trusted each other. One day, my partner told me he was taking a short vacation with his wife. He deserved it. We had been working non-stop for months. While he was gone, the shop would be mine to run. At first, I didn't think it would be too hard, but as soon as I saw how much work there was, I realized how exhausting it would be alone. Still, I decided to do my best. The first few days went fine. Customers came in, orders were placed, and I tried to keep up. But the workload weighed heavily on me. I often worked until late and even considered staying overnight sometimes. I had to adjust to this pace until my partner returned. By the third day after he left, things were getting overwhelming. I even hesitated to take on new orders. So, after a certain hour, I decided to lock the shop and focus only on completing existing work. I stopped staying too late and went home exhausted. Sleep felt like medicine. Early the next morning, I arrived to find my neighbors from the building next door waiting at the door. They looked tired. They said they'd been kept awake all night by noises from the workshop. I told them I'd closed early and that no one had been inside, but they insisted they'd heard hammering and the screech of metal. Their words unsettled me. Confused, I stepped inside. The sight froze me in place. The unfinished work from the previous night was now complete, neatly arranged, even packaged on the table. For a moment, I wondered if I'd done it myself, but was too tired to remember. Yet the work looked too precise to be mine. My first thought was my partner. Maybe he'd returned early to surprise me. I grabbed my phone but didn't call him. He was on vacation, and I didn't want to disturb him. If it was him, he'd show up eventually. Still, the unease inside me grew. Work completing itself didn't make sense. All day, I worked with this thought gnawing at me. When my partner still didn't appear, I finally called. He assured me he was still on vacation and hadn't been anywhere near the shop. If I had, I would have told you, he said. My blood ran cold. Either I was forgetting things or someone else had entered and done the work. I checked everything. No signs of forced entry on the doors or windows. Nothing was missing. If anything, the shop was tidier than ever. What kind of thief would do that? I thought of the security cameras, but they'd been broken for months. We hadn't had time to fix them. With no answers, all I could do was keep working. That night, I stayed late again. To avoid disturbing the neighbors, I stuck to quieter tasks. But as the hours passed, the shadows cast by the furnace began to move strangely. Everything was normal, yet the shapes looked wrong. For a moment, it felt like someone was standing beside me. I told myself it was just exhaustion. Then I heard hammering, clear, rhythmic blows. I wasn't even holding a hammer. My stomach tightened. Maybe the sound came from one of the other workshops, I thought. Trying to keep my composure, I heard a knock at the door. It was my neighbor again, this time angrier. "All night we've been hearing noises from here. We can't sleep," he said. I told him I was there, but wasn't making any noise that I could hear the hammering too. He said all the other workshops were closed. The sound was coming only from mine. I apologized and said I'd close soon. He left, but my anxiety grew, because I had heard the sounds myself and didn't know their source. It felt like someone was mocking me. Shortly after, I couldn't take it anymore. I packed up and left. As I walked home, I noticed my neighbor's light was still on. Through the curtain, I saw him watching me, as if making sure I'd really left. The next morning, I arrived late. No neighbor waiting this time. Maybe he'd slept peacefully. But when I opened the door, my eyes went wide. The shop was a wreck. The pieces I'd neatly arranged were shattered, the tables overturned. Someone had sabotaged my work. Panicking, I tried to clean up before customers arrived. I had to redo the broken orders. Hours passed, sweat dripping from me. By the end of the day, I was exhausted. I called my partner again, explaining everything. He was as worried as I was. We both regretted not fixing the cameras sooner. If only we had, we'd know what's going on, he said. I immediately called a technician to repair them. By evening, they were working again. That gave me a small sense of relief. That night, I locked up and went home, but peace eluded me. Something was wrong, and I knew it. Still, having working cameras gave me hope. In the morning, I'd finally see the truth. I lay in bed, eyes burning, unable to sleep. At dawn, I rushed to the shop. This time, I let no customers in. I had to check the footage first. I opened the files and felt my breath stop. On the screen was a pitch-black silhouette. It was moving as if working, hammering with my hammer. I wasn't there, but it was standing where I always stood. At first, I thought the cameras were glitching, but the image was sharp. I sent the footage to my partner. He replied in shock, telling me not to stay there alone. But orders needed to be finished. I couldn't disappoint customers. That day, I kept the shop closed and worked inside alone. I stayed late. Just as I was about to finish, the shadows began to stir again. Then I saw it with my own eyes. The silhouette turned from the camera and faced me. It stared, motionless. My skin prickled. Slowly, I moved toward the door, but the silhouette stepped closer to my workspace. At the door, I looked back. It was slamming the hammer onto tables and metal, smashing everything. The noise was unbearable. I bolted out, unable to control my fear. Outside, my neighbor appeared again, complaining about the noise. I told him everything in a panic. His expression said he didn't believe me. Still, I asked if he'd come in with me. He entered first. I followed, but the silhouette was gone. The place was a mess, but silent. My neighbor looked at me like I was imagining it all. My terror must have been obvious, because he gently suggested I see a doctor or at least go home. I said I just wanted to leave, and we parted ways. Back at home, I was still trembling. Living alone, the silence brought no comfort, only more unease. I lay down, eyes closed. Just as I was drifting off, I heard them again, hammering, the clanging of metal. I couldn't take it anymore. Forcing myself up, I went to the living room. There, in the corner, stood the same silhouette from the workshop. Our eyes met. My heart nearly stopped. Then, in seconds, it vanished. Only empty space remained. I ran out of the house, calling my partner and begging him to come to the shop in the morning. I spent the night wandering the streets. I couldn't go back home. By dawn, I went to the shop. My partner had arrived before me. I told him everything. I said I couldn't go on like this, that I was losing myself. He was shocked. He urged me not to act rashly, to find out what was happening first. But seeing how shaken I was, he didn't push me. He understood. He told me the door would always be open if I wanted to return. That day, I handed everything over to him. For me, blacksmithing ended there. Since then, I've never heard those sounds or seen that silhouette again. But the fear remains, buried deep in my mind.